Oh, snap. Grandma Jen here to fill your mind with food for thought. Now, what I want to ask you, what leads to poverty? What can cause anyone to become broke? How many of you know the answer to this question? Are you thinking maybe lawsuits, losing a business, maybe going bankrupt? How about the government coming and taking your money? Yeah, you may think in the first few, yes, but nah, the government can't really take all my money. Well, let's just see. I want to talk about the four thieves to your wealth. First, inflation. Now, what is inflation? Inflation is a general increase on price and fall in the purchasing value of your money. Let me give you an example. You go to buy 10 pounds of flour for $10. That's $1 a pound. You use up all your flour. You go back to the store a week or two later, maybe even a month later, and that same bag of flour still costs $10. But now instead of getting 10 pounds, you're getting 8 pounds of flour. Now you're paying $1.25 a pound. That is inflation. Inflation creates large demands with a decreasing supply. That's what inflation is. Now, inflation is in the Bible. Did you know that? Now, they don't use the word inflation because that's a new word. It wasn't a word back then. But for Proverbs 20:23 says, diverse weights and an abomination is an abomination to the Lord, and dishonest scales are not good. So he was saying in the Bible that they would put light weights in their bag and heavy ones on the scales. That way they would be able to charge people more. And that's kind of what inflation does. You get less, you pay more, and you get less. Interesting, isn't it? Now, taxation, that is the next thing. So when taxation is when taxing authorities, usually a government, levies or imposes a financial obligation on its citizens or residents. So let me tell you, in the 1920s, the highest federal personal tax rate was over 75%. Can you imagine being very wealthy and for every dollar you had to pay 75 cents? Now in the mid-40s, the federal tax rate was over 90%, close to about 91%. Can you imagine being wealthy and for every dollar you spend, you paid 90 cents in taxes? Now, I happen to know that for the middle class, it was about 60%. So that's a lot of tax. That's a lot of tax that we pay. Now, in the early 1980s, it was 70%. Today, it's about 37%. But back in the 80s, we also didn't have a $31 trillion debt. Now, do you think taxes are going to go down, stay the same, or go up? Someone's got to pay for that. And if we don't pay for it, you and I, you know who's going to pay for it? Your children, your grandchildren, and your great-great-grandchildren, and your great-great-great-grandchildren. You're looking at 4 to 5 generations will be maybe paying this back. Maybe it'll just keep going up. I don't know. But taxes, I don't see going down really because someone has to pay that debt. And they can only keep deferring it for so much longer. Now, Amos 5:11 talks about taxation. It says, therefore, because you tread down the poor and take grain taxes from him, the government, though you have built houses of hewn stone, yet you shall not dwell in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but you shall not drink from their wine, because they have treaded down the poor and taxed them. Now in 2 Kings 23:35, King Jehoiakim was being invaded by the Pharaoh of Egypt, and he had to pay a tax. But instead of taking it out of his treasury, what he did was he taxed the land and gave the money to Pharaoh according to what he needed. So he didn't have to pay any. He made the citizens all pay that tax to the Pharaoh Necho. That's taxation. Your dollars are paying for our wasteful spending. That's right. Then there's market downturns. Now, Ecclesiastes 5:13 and 14 says, there is a severe evil which I have seen under the sun, riches kept for their own to his hurt, but those riches perish through misfortune, market downturns. So a market downturn, what is that? In the professional world, they call it a bull run or a bear market. So bear market is when the stock market takes a deep drop. And a bull run is when the stock market is on an upward trend. Now, there are great gains to be made in the stock market, but there are great opportunities to have great losses too. Think about 2008. And many of you were alive in 2008 when we had the housing bubble crash. Lots of people lost a lot of money. Now, I know personally, my husband and I, we took a hit, almost 50%. We took a hit. And it took us many years to get back that money. Thank goodness we were young enough and it didn't really affect us as much. But who do you think really is going to get affected back then? That's right. Those who are retired with these retirement accounts now just lost on upwards of 40 to 50%. So their 401ks become 201ks. That's crazy. No, there's no such thing as a 201k, just an expression. They just lost a lot of money. So we got to watch these things. And then the last one, the last thief, the fourth thief, who is actually the greatest. He's actually probably more like the mobster. It's called unexpected health issues. How many of you know someone who had declared bankruptcy because of medical bills, maybe from cancer or some other deadly disease? They had to cash in their life savings to pay for their loved ones' fight for life. And now I've seen it firsthand, and it is a place no one wants to be in. It's a tough place, starting all over with nothing, and then usually losing your loved one. That's rough. Now, that's someone if you're wealthy or making really good income. If you are a blue collar worker, maybe making $80,000 a year, $60,000 a year, and you're just struggling to get by, how long do you think your saved earnings will last you? If you are a blue collar worker and you go to retire, Uncle Sam says, now, with that in mind, if you are a blue collar worker and you want to retire, this is kind of on the tax side of it. You want to retire. Uncle Sam says, I let your money grow tax free. Now you have to pay me, and I'm going to tax you at whatever interest rate they deem is low. And if you don't touch the money till you're 73, Uncle Sam says, I'm forcing you to use your money and pay the taxes you owe me. 4 thieves all lead to the path of poverty: inflation, taxation, market downturns, and unexpected health. So what does the word say about money? Now, how many of you play the lottery, hoping to hit the jackpot and all your worries will be over? Did you know that 70% of everyone who wins the lottery ends up going broke within 5 years? 70%. How's that? Do you like those stats? Well, the word says the plans of the diligent surely lead to plenty, but those who are hasty surely to poverty. There you go. Taking your time planning how you're going to earn money, save money, leads to plenty. But when you're hasty, you gamble, you take the shortcuts, it will almost always lead to poverty. Now, there are many ways I can go from here. I can promote business ownership. I can promote a second and third job for you. And I can promote sugar daddies and sugar mamas, but I'm not. Surprise! I actually want you to think of this valuable little bit of information I gave you about the 4 thieves. What are the 4 thieves again? Inflation, taxation, market downturns, and unexpected health. And I want you to come to a conclusion and decide what is your best option. Is it business ownership? Is it multiple jobs? Spending no time with your family? Is it gambling? Or is it hooking up with a sugar mama or a sugar daddy? It's on you to think about it. But you know, see that up there? You can reach me. You can reach me right there. We can talk. You can do whatever you need to do. You can throw ideas at me. And if I can be of service to you, I'm there for you. So I'm going to close out the food for thought. And I want you to remember this. No one can do it just like you. Something magic in the way you move. Your original, you know, is true. Don't let anybody take your tune. You ain't got a single thing to prove. You're original, so just be you. Just be you. All right. Love that ditty. And oh, snap. Grandma Jen here, signing out until next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you on the other side of your dreams. There you go.